welcome to the Conscious Billionaire to Be show on Manifest High Net Worth. I am your host, Fri Chihak. And today I'm going to be taking a deep dive and picking the brain of Conscious Billionaire to Be, Michaela Rene. Michaela, welcome to the show.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for having me on your show. This is quite a delight and I appreciate you.
Great. Thank you so much for being on. I'm just going to take a moment to share with you guys what Michaela does. I'm going to read it from my phone. She's actually a reverend, by the way. So Reverend Michaela Rene is a certified 7 Steps to Reprogramming Yourself Practitioner. And she's also an author of the 7 Days to Blissful Abundance. Her testimony confirms the ability to heal from life trauma, very important, and come out winning. Oh yes. Reverend Michaela Rene has proved her worth and value to heal, love, and lead people back to their goodness with amazing results. Michaela, wow. What a mission you have. Healing trauma, that's a pretty big deal, right?
It is a big deal. And what I will say is that we can't do these things by ourselves. There's always the helper. First we have Divine Source as the helper, and then Divine Source knowing what energy you're putting out that you want to be, that you desire to be well, and you want to walk in your wellness, and you not just want to project wellness, but you want to be the embodiment of wellness. And so then the universe conspires to deliver you the opportunity to be well.
Yes.
And so that's the first step, that we make that conscious decision. And I had come through several life trauma experiences that required that I become well, because there had become something deeply harsh and damaging and sad within my deeper being, even though I was living and functioning in the real world. And so it didn't really hit home until I began to take inventory of all the stuff I was collecting.
Wow.
So I was collecting different type of people experiences and living experiences and career experiences. And I was wondering, why is that happening to me?
Right.
And then that allowed me to, because I asked the universe, I asked Divine Source, I asked my great-grandparents, my ancestors, why is this happening? And I want it fixed. And then they popped open the provision. The universe, through that ancestral right, popped open the provision to learn how to heal myself.
Wow.
And how to help other people do the same thing.
Wow, that is amazing. And you are so suited for that work, because all the trauma that you went through allowed you to not only step up and heal yourself, but now you are the portal through which other people receive the answers from Divine Source. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. When I listen to the stories of my clients and their heart is broken, and it seems like it's like, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, and there was the great fall, and how can we put him back together again? Yes, we can be really mended back together again, and that is to recognize that each chip that separated from the body, each piece is a valuable piece. It doesn't need to be discarded. It's very valuable. And in the process, when we mend it back to the self or to the soul, then we see why even those things became the catalyst to the person that we are, even in healing from them. And when I tell people at 3 years old, my fingers were severed, all 8 of my fingers, and that they were sewn back on, and then the doctor didn't know if I was going to have fingers and thought they were going to be nubs. And my mother believed in her own metaphysical manifestation of magical activity that she willed and prayed my fingers back into existence. So I've got all 8 of my fingers in. And then,
what an experience.
Yeah, and I can remember it. You know, at 3 years old, I can remember it. But the body does go through a measure of shock to protect itself, but there was these images that I can remember. And then by the time I was 5, I was abducted. I was kidnapped.
Oh my goodness.
On the campus of Fresno State University at a festival or fair, like an art fair. And I was gone for the whole day. My father found me.
Oh my
and my parents were together, so this wasn't like a parent being mad at another parent and abducting. My parents were actually, you know, we're in that era where my parents remained together, and they were together for 26 years of my life, and so here I had 2 parents, and one parent doesn't know where this child is, you know, and so that was another trauma that I went through. And then by the time I was 7, so 2 years later, I ended up with a bite from either a snake or a brown recluse spider, a poisonous spider. And
my mouth is just hanging.
Right, it just, you talk about, these are initiations, right? This stuff is huge. So here I was being initiated on all these different levels, proving that I am supposed to be in this universe to make a difference. And so I look at that. So I had this gaping hole in my neck for a year, and up until I was 17, my dad would actually have to extract the poison out of my neck because the fangs were
from
still
the bite.
in my collarbone. Yes.
Oh
and
my
so,
God.
And then I willed myself well from that point. At 17 years old, I told my body, you will no longer go through this trauma of having to deal with the pain of that process anymore. And I said, I declared it. I said, I'm done with this. I told my dad, I'm done with this. I'm done with you having to do this to me. And my body, it can heal. And so I'm saying it's healed right now. And do you know, from that day on, I never had to have that procedure done on my neck again.
Wow.
So we can will ourselves in a healing on every level. So if we can heal our body from physical ailment and spiritual sadness and spiritual debilitating experiences, we can also heal our financial wounds that are in our body, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of financial prowess, why do you want to be a billionaire? What is it that got you started, or what is it that inspires you to pursue such a lofty goal?
Oh, very well. So what I will say, it's not so much about being a billionaire as it is what I'm able to do for the community of people in my life and my family with the resources that people label as billionaire. Yeah. And I know that is a powerful place when you say, why do you want to be a billionaire? And then I would say, why not? Why not? If I am living and I can continue to thrive, then I would say, why not thrive? Yeah. And if that being able to thrive now assist other people in their endeavors to live life well, to create a legacy for my family, to create the support and workings for other women in my life, to set an example that we can come through the most adverse traumatic experience and be successful. Yeah. Why not?
Exactly. Not just successful, but hugely successful. Because I could just imagine you as a billionaire, as a conscious billionaire, you will reach into places where there's trauma that you are not even aware of now. That financial abundance will allow you to touch lives in far, far away places and create opportunities for others to be able to thrive from trauma. I mean, and you just standing there as a beacon, just saying, I came from all of this and I have accomplished this. That is power. It sounds to me like even a lesser word to use in these circumstances, but it's powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And the beautiful thing about this word success, which I had learned from my Jegna, is that we determine when we are successful, not the outside.
Yeah.
And success doesn't look like money. Success is about your personal achievement.
Yeah.
The outward expression of that can be money. It can be resources. It can be your assets.
Yeah.
However, what is success? Success is how you determine that you have fulfilled your goal within to now master the manifestation of what you are now outward. And so then I look and I say, well, I am a successful billionaire because I am successful at achieving the goals, the steps, the actions to now manifest and bring those goods, those resources, those friends, those connections, those colleagues, those partnerships
yes.
for the experience of living the billionaire lifestyle, whatever that lifestyle is, whether it's in simplicity or in extravagance or traveling.
Extravagance sounds like me.
Right, or philanthropy, whatever that is.
A combination of all of those.
Yeah, as long as you're putting your goal and you have your goal mapped out and you're doing the activities that you have mapped out in the goal, you are already successful.
Absolutely.
So success is not about the outward manifestation of the end goal, but what you are actively achieving in the steps for your goal.
Absolutely. Wow, powerful. That right there, we could go into deeper discussion.
Right?
Absolutely,
I hear you.
But I want to move, and obviously these things that you're sharing come from a place of deep practice and trust of your divine power. Could you please share with us one of your top metaphysical strategies that you use in your life, business, everywhere, that you use to thrive, basically?
Wow. Writing, visualizing, and speaking to my great-grandparents. That is huge. So I go to my great-grandparents, and specifically my grandfather, Sheldon Bradley. And he's been deceased since probably I've been 16 years old. However, I have a very interesting relationship because the last time that I saw him living, I was just 4 years old, and I remember him.
Wow.
6'9", gorgeous man, just very brute strong. He had been in the army, and he had a very deep voice, but a very soothing voice. And the last memory that I have of him is myself sitting on his lap, telling me to make sure I took care of my sister, and that he loved me, and that he'd always be there for me. So here, as an adult, I use that information. And so I speak to him and ask him for his support. And I say it so literal, Granddaddy Bradley, I know you don't want your daughter out here like strung out like this.
Yes.
Because I say,
powerful.
I say, daughter, my mother is deceased, which is his daughter. But I'm the granddaughter living. So I say to him, I know you don't want your daughter out here hanging out like this. So can you make sure this gets done? Yes. And so we have very, very candid, very frank conversation. I don't do the woo-woo sort of stuff. I'm just very matter of fact, whether it's I'm driving to the store and I don't want to park far away, and I just tell my grandfather, like, Granddaddy Bradley, I know you don't want me walking that far to the store. So if you can find a park closer to the store, I'd really appreciate that. Now, somebody else might say, well, that's not your granddad. That's just your will of your energetic being now drawing in the law of attraction. Well, whatever that is, since I know that energy doesn't die, then I will just access the energy of my grandfather and speak to that energy at which I now expect it to behave, and then ask for the miracle to happen. And that's how I do those things.
Oh, that is truly unique and powerful, and it's connecting with your ancestors, because that, as you said, that energy lives on. Even if, like for me, for instance, who believes in reincarnation, even if they've taken another body and they've unearthed somewhere, that spirit energy still lives and is still looking out for you. So it's connected in that powerful way.
Absolutely.
when you said what you said, it reminded me of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about having a non-physical mastermind. So if you want to, he talks in that book about that and picking the brains of these illustrious people, right? And who have passed away, who were savvy, super savvy business people. So that reminded me of that. That is a powerful metaphysical strategy to use. Thank you for sharing that, Rene.
Welcome. I like that you brought that point up about having the strategist that's in the other realm. My grandfather's my very practical guide, and my great grandmother, and I will say this because it's very important to say, I've done my family lineage, and my 9th great grandfather happens to be the great Antonio Johnson, who owned the tobacco farm in Virginia, and he was the first person to own a shadow slave. And there's a story about that, although we have the story that has been told by those in the Americas who believe that there was something there was something that happened very wrong, but there was an internal story that is being told, and that's my next book. I Am His Daughter, and of Antonio Johnson. And so I wanted to make mention of that, because we do need to go back to those ancestors and listen to them and know their story, and then find the truth in those stories, because the truth of it is already you. You are the DNA, you are the manifestation, the greater of their being. And so there's aspects of you, whether it is your dark shadow self or your magical light being self, that is part of those things. And so therefore it does allow you to be able to tell the story and find that out. So in that case, because I do use the energetic field, what I also learned is that I could speak to other beings to ask for that support. So my favorite, I call him my Grandpa Wayne, is Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he, I've been in using mediumship, and not on purpose, it would just happen. And so one day, this is about maybe the week that he transitioned, I was sitting in the backyard in Atascocita, Texas. And I was sitting there and I was listening to his audio and just resetting my mind for some particular goals that needed to be accomplished quickly.
Right.
And I began to hear the spirit of him speak to me about remaining appreciative and having strong gratitude for where I was at, and that what I was working to achieve would happen very, very quickly, but I needed to get things in order. I needed to write them down. And so I took that in as I was listening to the spirit of him speak to me and listening to his message on YouTube. And so at the very end of this experience, let me just say this, I was eating Oreo cookies, which is my favorite, and I can eat the whole thing, and so the whole package. And so I hear him, this energy say, and okay, those Oreo cookies, they might be good, but they're not good for you.
Oh.
And that's when I knew that, okay, wait a minute. That's
Who said that?
You haven't been listening to my voice this whole time. But I'm thinking I'm just listening to my own imagination, as if Dr. Wayne Dyer is coming in and he's speaking to me about the manifesting of the thing that I need to achieve in the next few weeks. And then all of a sudden that rogue thought came in, that rogue expression. And then it floored me, because this has been my favorite forever. I would never stop eating Oreo cookies. And at that moment, I realized. So
that was what led you to realize that you were actually receiving that.
Oh, absolutely. Wow. And do you know, from that date, because of the activities that I did, that energy began to transcribe to me, I was able to get a luxury apartment in less than 3 weeks. And wait a minute, had only put down $49 for a luxury deposit on a luxury apartment.
Wow.
Within 5 weeks of that, excuse me, I take that back. Within 3 weeks, had my brand new Lexus car. Did not know how I was going to get this Lexus car. Ended up with this Lexus car. Within 2 weeks from that, ended up with the luxury apartment. Within that same period, so within the 3 weeks that I got the car, I had 2 promotions at the same job and then 2 pay raises. And so it was just phenomenal. It was like all this, and then I was receiving a check from somewhere out of the blue. It was all this stuff that was happening. It was like, oh my gosh. And I had all this money just land in my lap. So
wow.
Yes, we do need and can and must, maybe I should say that must access the divine minds who have done it successfully and go into that quiet meditation to ask a favorite to come in. So I don't call him Dr. Wayne Dyer. He is Grandpa Wayne to me.
Totally mind-blowing. Michaela, thank you. That is fantastic. Now, when you are a billionaire, when you are in this place where you're resourceful, what is one cause that is really dear to your heart that you know you will definitely be putting money into?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Weave, women escaping a violent environment. That will be where I pour resources toward. Because first and foremost, I was one of those women. And
interesting.
Beautifully, I have this gorgeous husband who cares for my well-being and looks out for my best interest. However, I had to come to a place where I valued who I was. And in that prior relationship, I was in a very hurtful space, and my confidence level had been torn down so. And what I recognized with other women is that it's not that they are not able to see that their circumstances or situations are broken. The hard part is that they have no sustainability after leaving a violent experience. So they usually, more than 80% of those women that are leaving a violent situation will return back to their violent circumstances because they have nowhere else to go. They have no means. They may have children. They need to feed those children. They may not have anything that is available for their health and for their wellness, and even mental support, emotional support. And so, and that is also how I was able to support and assist women to clear their emotional triggers permanently. And so that will be where I share and deposit the resources of portions of the monies that I received as a billionaire towards that worthy cause.
That is truly a cause definitely worth putting money into. And the great news, besides you doing all this work, is that you're not alone, since you have all these billionaire friends like myself. Well, more money coming in, right? Because you just have to say, hey, Fri, let's put a few $1 million. I'm looking for $10 million. What do you want to give towards Weave?
Right.
And how good. So it's totally fabulous. So Michaela, let's move away from the cause and go into your luxurious life. Could you share with us, paint us a vision of what your luxurious life would look like, the types of cars you drive, private jets if you have them, homes across the world?
Well, so I'm going to just speak from my current space, and that current space, whether it's believable or not, is that I do travel around the world. We just got back from Thailand.
But this time, I'm saying is, as a billionaire, you're likely not going to travel the way you just traveled now. You're like, maybe you fly first class, or maybe private jet, you have your itinerary, you'll be going to places that most people don't see, because you have the ability to pay to meet amazing people. Maybe some people in Thailand, perhaps certain monks that you would have loved to meet that you couldn't meet. You know, things like that is, you know, those types of experiences.
Absolutely. No, there's my experience as a billionaire is that I'm able to take more people with me.
Ah, I see.
I'm already able to experience these things, and I love the car that I drive. I drive a Corvette. However, I will tell you that my next car is a Tesla, and so I have my big black man with a big black truck, so I love. And however, he wants another vehicle, so of course that is now facilitating that he has the next vehicle.
Yeah.
The money that I'm making is the vehicle that he gets to enjoy driving, so that is wonderful. However, traveling for ourselves, myself and my husband, is remarkable. We get to share it. However, every time we go to a place, we literally say, oh my gosh, so-and-so would love it here. And so the thought is, what if that was the gift that we gave them? Yeah. And they get to travel with us, and they get to enjoy the experience, the complete experience of that travel, so that they wouldn't have to worry, okay, well, you know, we're not sure about, you know, how we're going to eat or anything. Well, that's not your worry. That's not your worry. And we don't feel like you're taking advantage, because this is our gift. And
that sounds so fantastic.
So my goal as a billionaire is to have a few people that are friends of ours, they travel with us, and to be able to gift people the things that they need, or an emergency that comes up in a family, not just one person, but a family has a serious need and support. That that is where you become you step into your humanitarian work. So now what I will say is I really love clothing, worldly clothing, and so that would be where my little, my own personal indulgence is like, okay, shoes, clothes, and some jewelry. Yes. and
clothing, having your
exquisite food, like exquisite food.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that right there. So that is what I would do with my resources as a billionaire, and then also having my own private gym. And
your own private what?
My own private gym.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful. I mean, those are fascinating. Food, chefs, oh my gosh, from all these different places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Delicious food.
I want my grandbabies to travel with me. Like, that is, I want them to have that experience of touching the earth everywhere. That my grandbabies. I currently have 2. I expect I have 2 more coming. However, the 2 that I have, Belle and Julian, they're my B&J in the metaphysical world. So they're my B&J. And my daughter's name is Jonah, so she's the ultimate J. So they're my B&J. And for those that understand tarot, you would get what that means. And so I desire that they see the world because it belongs to them. And that's part of this legacy. So that $1 billion, that multi-billion-dollar revenue is a support and the advancement towards our family legacy.
Yeah. Wow, powerful. Now, Michaela, there are people, and I'm sure there are women out there who have this desire. Maybe they've been called to it and they can feel it, but for some reason, they're not really rising to it. Maybe because they don't have the support system. They're afraid of what others might say about this big dream, or they don't yet see the how, so they're stepping back. What advice do you have for those people?
That's a great question. And it's tied into the work that I do. Fear is a huge thing, and it's also a very subtle thing. And so our ego will say, well, I'm clearing all my fears. The interesting thing is that fear of being able to move forward is a very subtle fear. It's so deep. It's so buried in the subcutaneous layer of our soul that it's running a program that truly keeps that person from moving forward into their greatness. Yeah. They may not even realize that program is running, even in its most subtle vibration. Yeah. So what I would encourage each person to do is to allow themselves to partner with people in their life that can help them shift, and not be afraid of that, even if that is one of the fears of being afraid of undoing the person that they think that they are. And I know that when I began to undo all the trauma in my life, I actually was a different person. I remember telling my husband, I knew intellectually what it felt like to love. And if he said he loved me, I could intellectually understand that, because I could say, well, I say I love him. Mm-hmm. And I know what that feels like based on what I'm thinking, how I feel. And I remember clearing an emotional trigger permanently. And he came in the room and he just said, babe, I really love you. And all of a sudden, I felt a vibration strike my heart so deep. And I looked, and it just brought me to tears. And he said, are you okay? And I said, it's the first time I felt what love felt like. Mm-hmm. And I did not know how to explain that to somebody, because if you've never felt a vibrational movement in the physical body, in the space of our heart, which is metaphysical and physical, and if you've never felt that, you don't know. But because we've had so much trauma brought into this space, we have no clue what that love feels like. So what I would say to each woman is be open to allowing yourself to discover who you really are. And just like that 2-year-old or 3 or 4-year-old who did not know how to tie a shoe before the mom said, let me show you with the 2 little bunny ears. We have to be at that childlike space again, to say, help me. Yes. Help me tie my life back together again. Yes. So that I can be whole and I can wear my shoes on the right foot, and my laces, if they start to come undone, I know how to lace them back up. Help me do that. So my encouragement for every woman is allow someone to assist you to come back into your wholeness, so that you can truly live blissfully, you can be abundant in that life.
Wow. Michaela, it truly has been a deep pleasure to listen to you speak, to listen to you share your ideas. It's really so enlightening, and I am excited for the journey that you're on, and for the destination that's not quite the permanent that you're going to get to as a multi-billionaire, because I can imagine the reach that you're going to have, the lives that you're going to touch, not just with your finances, but with your words, with your encouragement, with your inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed this. This is wonderful.
Yes, thank you. Me too. And for everyone else who's watched this, if you have any questions, you can reach Michaela on Facebook. Yes. And what is your website?
It is lovemichaelarene.com. That's LOVEMICHAELARENA.com.
So you can reach her there. And in the meantime, go ahead and like this video and then subscribe so that you can receive more deliciousness like this. Thank you so much, Michaela. Talk to you soon.
Blessed be. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Ashe.
Ashe.